Thank you for having me. Yeah, quite a challenge after two such inspiring presentations. I will do my best. Yes, today I want to talk to you about the power of employee experience. And as humans, we all crave for great and positive experiences that enrich our lives. We invest time, we invest resources to travel the world, to explore different locations, discover new cultures, and really go great lengths to create moments of joy, to put smiles on our faces. And what you see on that slide is one of the best experiences I ever made. I don't know if any one of you ever had tried flyboarding. That's when you get this like double skiing boots where the water is coming out in the bottom. And if you manage to do so, it lifts you out of the water. And I still remember the moment when after drinking, I think like 5 liters of salty water, when I managed to get out of the water like 3-4 meters. And I was flying. And this moment was so amazing. It was such a shot of adrenaline. I still need to smile when I think about it. And the smile that kept on the whole day. My family told me, you're a crazy person. They tell me all the time. But it was such a memorizable moment for me. This is the clicker thing. It's this one? Yeah. Why am I telling this private example? Because I truly believe that experience can create memories that last forever. That sounds so easy. If amazing moments come to our lives that really enriches our life, that has impact on our overall well-being, on the quality of life, and if they are so great, they stay with us forever. That's why it's so important also as a company to understand about the power of those experiences. If I now sum it up until now in 2 words, experiences really matter. And the important thing, and that's why I'm talking about this today here, is, and I'm really a little bit confused, I still see the starting page on the screen. Could you change that? That would help me a little bit. Because why am I here today? That shouldn't stop when it comes to professional life. So this awareness and the thinking about the importance of experience, we should carry in our working life. Today, creating great experiences for our employees, it's not just a nice to have thing, it's a must in today's world. In such a competitive talent market like today, it's not enough to just have attractive salary and benefit packages. You need to provide inspiring experiences when it comes to daily work, when it comes to growth and development. You need to create, we heard about this, a sense of belonging, a sense of purpose when it comes to daily work. Now it went to the Windows starting screen. I just ignored it. Let's keep going, because now I think we're getting more concrete. And it's not only my personal opinion that experiences matter. I brought you some figures, and there is tons of studies out there that prove how important experiences are. If you look at the first one, retention. If people have a good experience within their company, 50% more people are likely to stay with the company for at least 1 year. If it comes to engagement, the lever is even bigger. 96% of people who have a good experience at their workplace feel engaged with their job and with their company, compared to only 25% of people without that good experience. And this even increases when it comes to recommendation rates, which is incredibly important for a company. So 94% compared to less than 20% would recommend their company to a friend or to a former colleague or whomever as a place to go if you find a new employer. So this is really a big lever for a company. And even if you take the company perspective, there is also tons of reports. The one that is standing out for me is Forbes, who states, hey, 4 times more profitability if you as a company invest in employee experience. So it's not only the emotional part that makes me very confident that we need to act on this one, it's also that a lot of figures prove that. So as a consequence, we as a company, we need to create an environment where people want to work. And I think we heard it already in the last presentation, not where they need to work, because it's part of our lives. We need to come to work, it's a must do, we need to earn money, we need to take care of the family. It's something where we believe that we want to create an environment where people want to work. And this is not easy. Or I put it differently, it's not an easy one-time invest, because An experience might be a short shot of adrenaline, but if you want to do it properly, it's really a long-term invest, because it's not about the one experience, it's the sum of all the individual experience. What people perceive is kind of, the intersection between what they want, what they expect, what they wish for, and what a company designs for them. And really doing this not in individual touch points or individual moments, but along the whole talent journey to keep them engaged from the beginning to the end, and probably again when they rejoin us, that's really a big invest for a company. And we are fully aware of this, and we want to do this long-term invest and started quite a while ago. And from my perspective, there is two major focus areas. And the one, and it's not surprising, also this one has been touched already, is technology. What is our ambition? We want to provide our employees experiences based on technologies so that they go home and say, wow, that would be so awesome if I would have this tool at home. Today, in many cases, it's completely the opposite. That people have cool apps like LinkedIn, whatever at home, or they download something on their phone. And if it doesn't do the trick, they just delete it and get a different one. And then they come to work and they have this super old school mainframe systems, complicated, not user-friendly. We want to change that people really get away from the workplace and say, oh, I wish I could take this app to my home. And this sounds like a high ambition. It is. It's not easy. But I think we are coming closer to this step by step. And I'm going to share some examples with you over the next minutes. The second one is culture. We also touched on this quite a bit in the last two presentations. And culture is the more difficult one because it's not something that you just can roll out. It's not easy to decide that's the way our culture should be, and now let's tell the people and let's do it. It's something that develops over time, so it needs quite a while to change and develop culture in a certain direction. And you need to tackle all the elements that really shape our culture. And that, yes, are tools to a certain extent, but these are also fundamentals, how a company operates. This is processes, decision chains. All of that influences our culture. So we do have a culture of, I think that the two most essential things that we have developed in our DNA over the last years is diversity and inclusion, and a culture of growth and development. And also here, I will show you some examples throughout the presentation. Before we dive into the examples, I want to set a little frame. We heard from Wagner early in the morning, moments that matter. So I think such a slide, such a structure is no surprise for any of us. We know that there are some moments that are overproportionally emotionally loaded and that have overproportionally impact on satisfaction or engagement. And as a company, it's very, very important to understand which are those moments that are highly relevant to our people in the company, listening, understanding within those moments, what are the touch points? And you see it in the bottom. There's digital ones, physical ones, human ones. What are the touch points that overproportionally probably influence the perception of such a moment? So that's why we have, I would say, a very sometimes too sophisticated listening strategy to get all those insights from our employees and also the candidates that have not joined us yet to understand about the moments, about the touch points, and really regularly listen to this. Based on those insights, design our moments that matter and then iterate on it. Because I had to smile when Brent told about at the end, the people who had to use it didn't find their needs and their wishes. That's an HR thing, that we as the experts know what the worlds need. And then we take ages and concepts and then you give it to them and expect smiling faces and people say, oh, that doesn't hit my need. So that's why we take it really serious in listening and iterating. And also, to be quite open here, at some points, we also stopped or canceled something because we said, okay, obviously, either the expectations changed too fast, we were too small, or we just got it wrong. So now I want to share some examples along this employee life cycle. And I start with the very first phase, the explore phase. And I want to share some insights on what we do on employer branding. We just recently launched our new employer brand because as a company, it's incredibly important to give the right experience right from the very first touch point. And this might be even an unconscious one. Before people consider or think about Siemens, everybody sees, hears. So it's important to really start at the very front. When we developed our employer brand, there's 3 things that for me are essentially important. The first also here, listen to the talent market. Because employer branding, it's about messaging, it's about colors. Everybody is an expert. I love those meetings where high hierarchy people in HR are sitting there looking at the concepts and said, yeah, and I want this message, but could you change that word? And then I want this color with that thing. And you see the creative agency and the experts like, oh my goodness. So really listening, and if you don't like it, it doesn't matter. If the talents like it, it's the way you should go. Yeah? So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to be very clear what's your value proposition as an employer. And when we started on this, we brought it to stakeholders and everybody, and we thought, hey, we are such a cool global company that can't be too tricky. But really nailing it down, what is it that makes you unique that not 20 other companies have in a similar way? That's not easy. So for us, it's 3 points that we give out in all the messaging on employer brand. It's our inclusive and diverse culture, because this is something we truly live. It's not only written on the advertisements, that's what we believe in. The second one is technology with purpose. So we believe that technology is the only way to solve the problems of our times, and it's still the humans shaping that technology. So showing the talents, what's your impact when you join our company? Where can you contribute? Yeah, and the third one is the unique universe of opportunities. We are, if you know Siemens, we do from smart building, factory automation, you name it, so many different stuff. So it's companies within one company across so many countries. So as a talent who wants to move around, make a career, it's really a unique spot. So those 3 topics we position very clearly. Now this still sounds theoretical. I want to make it concrete, also what I meant with designing, iterating, and then adjusting. Before we rolled it out globally, we started to do a pilot in China. To do it on a small scale, a smaller country, not the smallest one, but nothing compared if you do something in Siemens globally. That's the real big thing, yeah? And then we learned that it resonates. So we had 7 times higher exposure on WeChat, the Chinese social media. We had 5 times higher referral and application volumes in fresh talent. So also very specific use cases that we tested. We saw that our female share in our trainee program almost doubled after we introduced the new employer brand. And that also social media activation campaigns, for example, in the PhD promotion market, we had 3 times higher conversion rates than the industry benchmark. We also learned what didn't went well and adjusted, and all of this before we rolled it out globally to make sure that it really hits the needs of our talents. So 2 messages on this. The first one that was really eye-opening for me, experiences happen. If you have designed for them or not, it just happens. So be aware that every touch point does something in the perception of the talents. And the second is really this listening and iterating and adjusting it, and also, being honest with what does not resonate and just be bold and change it. The second examples I brought, and there's 3 of them in the consider phase, when it's about how we recruit. Is this noise okay? Yeah. Okay. The first one is Textio. Probably some of you know Textio. Textio is a web-based augmented writing platform. What does it do? It enhances the job posts and makes sure that we use the language of the talents. And with language of the talents, I don't mean is it English, Chinese, German, but are we using the terminology that they use in their daily lives? Or are we talking corporate jargon? Is it too extensive, too many bullet points? Is it too complicated? Is it too complex? And also, is it diverse enough that we also attract women or people with different backgrounds? So that's what we do since quite a while, and we see significant impact. So on average, if for those who know Textio, it gives you a score between 1 and 100, and if you reach a certain level, between 70 and 80, we have 25% more suitable candidates, and we can speed up the time to fill for a position more than 10 days, which is, for a company hiring more than 30,000 people a year, that's quite a big lever. So that's something where we use AI to enhance the experience of the candidates when they get in touch with our job and career website. The second example I want to share, this is going to be rolled out in 2 weeks from now. It's automated job matching, skill-based job matching. So how does it look in real life? Right now, if people join our career portal, they just go there and they say, okay, first filter. I want to have a position in the US, in this, no, in business, I don't know them, I leave it blank. Is it strategy or business development? Not so sure. So it's more about how concrete are they, what they want, and then it's also about how good people from the recruiter side tagged the whole job posts. In the future, people just go there, upload their CV, and the AI decomposes the skills and experiences, does the same with all the open jobs within Siemens, and matches them based on the skills. So completely different experience, not only in terms of usability, no filter setting, but just uploading the CV, but also in terms of what our pilot showed, much more inspirational recommendations. It's not just a junior something gets a recommendation to develop into a senior something, but also lateral job moves that can AI-based be recommended to the talents. The third one is something that we piloted. Now I'm hesitant to double click. I do again? Okay. In a few countries and have now been rolling out in most of our countries, it's about strength-based hiring. As a company, we believe that people can thrive and perform at their best if they can leverage their strength. And strength, not to mix it up with skills. Certain skills must be there, but strength is what comes natural, what gives you energy instead of what drains you energy and makes you, I'm missing the English word, but I think you know what I want to say. So what we have in place is an online assessment tool. It's called StrengthScope, where people can fill in an easy questionnaire and get a report on what is their strengths, their energy, inspirations, and what are their energy drainers. What we now do, we offer this to all candidates if they apply for us and are in the final, or if they are pushed, now I do the HR language, from the recruiter to the hiring manager stage. If they get the job or not, a different story, but they are offered to do this assessment with the purpose that they can go into the interview and probably share a little bit about their strength, how they believe they could add value for that position. We know that there is no best strength for best position, but having this dialogue about strengths, about who am I, what can I contribute, is something that obviously almost 100% of the candidates who did it really valued and shared that it was a great experience. And what is also impressive, if we offer that, almost 50% make use of this. That was something that surprised us, because we believe that probably people overread it or whatever. But this is something where we really believe that this makes an extremely positive impact on the talent journey during the recruiting process. The fun fact is, and don't share that now, we need to, again, take our hiring managers, and if you haven't done that yet, if you're not familiar with it, there might be a candidate who tells about his strengths. Better be prepared if he asks about yours. So it's also a mechanism from the other side to, again, drive the culture in the direction we want. So the next one I want to share is the work phase. And there is about growth and development. And actually, when listening to Brent, I decided to tell this a little bit differently. What we did, I think 3 or 4 years ago, we did something in those times very weird for HR. We went to our employees and asked them, what do you need to make a career? Because in former times, it was HR who knew how careers work, who knew what should be done. We had managers who said, that's your target, that's how I rate you, that's what you should learn. And employees were in a situation where they said, yeah, that's all good, but career is not happening. I don't know what you are doing with all the information. HR was having sophisticated people profiles and new data about the employees. And then we asked them, what do you need? And it was basically 3 things they said. They said, first, I need transparency about opportunities, full stop. Second, I want to make myself transparent. I don't want to be hidden in any HR tool, and I never know who is looking at the data, what is happening, if at all. And the third one, it should be actionable. I don't want to ask my manager for permission or wait for an appointment with HR. It must be actionable. And then we invented something that was in those times called Own Your Career. Now you see it on the slide, it's called My Growth. An ecosystem of simple approaches, starting with the self-reflection, the strengths scope thing. We promoted approaches like job shadowing, where every employee can take the chance, of course in alignment with the manager, to just go somewhere, ask a person, a manager in an area where he or she would like to develop to, can I join a day or two and just do job shadowing to see, is this really the job? What skills would I need to learn to get a step closer, to get a better feeling of where I want to develop? We introduced the open job market, which for some of you might sound, what's the problem? But we had a strong tendency to always hire from inside the networks and don't make the open positions visible to the organization. So this was a hard fight, but only if people can see what opportunities are out there, they can make use of them. And we experimented also with some fancy stuff. One, it's still in place, it's called tagging. So we have intranet page in our organization where you see all the businesses, the teams, who are the managers, the teams, what's the purpose of the team, like so an organizational chart. And people can tag themselves to one of those org boxes very concretely, not a business development function, but exactly this team, and can say, listen, if something becomes vacant or even before, could we get in touch? I would be interesting. Can we start an exchange? So we explore a lot about how to give people not only the accountability to shape their career, but also give them the means at hand and lowering the barriers. Different experience that we had in the past. It's a cultural thing that employees take this. It's also a cultural thing that managers allow for this and push for this. But there we made a great progress over the last years. The second example here is as a part of this growth platform. It's our learning platform, 120,000 learning opportunities. Also here, the tool is great. That's really awesome. But the tricky thing to have a good experience is your manager and is the whole culture pushing for that. Because there are still people, once they see someone passing by, they do like this, that nobody can see on their screen, because people say, are you not working? Yeah, learning and staying employable is working. But yeah, as I said, the mindset is probably more important than the tooling. So now I showed some of the examples that we have, and I think we are good on our way, but we still see a lot of opportunities. And opportunities is the positive side, probably also a lot of really action areas where we need to work on. I want to come back to the structure I introduced earlier on, the topic of touch points. In a world like this, I think the expectations towards the digital touchpoints that have risen incredibly and are continuing to do so. There is zero tolerance for poor technology experiences. 3 things that make it hard for us. The first is, someone mentioned there's cool startups out there. Yeah, that's what I hear literally from 5 people every week who say, have you heard about this? And why are we not doing this? We are so old school. Tell them, listen, we are a company of 300,000 people in so many countries. We have strong co-determination. You need to prove if the vendor is enterprise ready. You have data protection stuff. We cannot jump on each and everything. So really choose wisely and don't jump on every marketing thing. We can't be more innovative than we are, I think. The second one is, if you are in a big company, you have a landscape of tools, different ones. And they are not necessarily interconnected. So you can't make use of all the data that will help to enhance the experiences. Closely linked, the third one, if you have different tools, they have different user interfaces. And it's so hard to make it a seamless experience. And there I have such a hard time with my boss, who then sometimes looks at it and says, yeah, that's good, but can you move this button here, and can you do this, and can you just skip this? And I said, listen, the power of one. If they change it for all of their customers. So, no, sorry, oops, but no. So this is really hard on the technology side. On the human side, I think I mentioned it already. No tools, no processes, nothing will work if there is not the culture behind it. So we continuously train our managers, especially on the mindset parts. And I think for certain touch points, the human is still, if we look in the moments that matter logic, it's still the one over proportionally driving the experience. If we look in former times, PMP, everybody was screaming about the shitty tool, but the thing that drove the satisfaction was the interaction with the manager. So that's why it's good to listen. The last one, physical touch points. You might think in a post-pandemic world where remote working and hybrid working is common practice, physical touch points are not so important anymore. But that's not completely true. I think some of them have lost importance, but some of them even have gained importance. Best example, the work environment. In the past, we designed offices that people can sit there and just very comfortably do their work. Today, in our company, people come to work if they want to work creative, if they want to work together for collaboration, if they want to do silent work, they just go home. Yeah? You need to completely differently design work environment, redesign all of your offices. So here it's about rethinking. On the technology side, we really need to be innovative. On the human side, we need to continue to invest in upskilling, in mindset training. And for the physical one, it's, as I said, rather the rethinking thing. If I now look into the future, and that must be a quick look if I look at the watch, everybody asked me, what shall we do in the future? And I think 2 weeks ago, I read an article, completely different thing, and I came across a picture of an engine. And I thought, yeah, I would say that's what we need. We need an intelligence experience engine where you feed in individual moments and touch points and where seamless experience come out. Problem is, I don't know how this engine works. Probably you have the answers for me. What I know, I think it runs on data. As I said earlier, if technology that creates individual touch points, if that gets connected and more data, and we are able to not only optimize the individual moments, but combine those data to also have kind of predictions what people want in a next step and be more proactive, so that it's not they go somewhere and it feels good, that something comes to them, they didn't expect it, but it feels natural. It feels like the experience that should be like this. I think that's the critical point. And as I said, in a brownfield approach of technology tools, I think we need to be innovative. We screen the market, we explore, we identify what would be the impact, and we try to connect the dots from each month to month a little bit more. But if one of you would have the magic engine, I would seriously be interested in hearing how yours is working. So these were my thoughts about the power of employee experience. And to sum it up with how I started, if you haven't done so and you ever come across this flybot thing, awesome, do it. Really, the best experience in my life so far, besides having kids. So thank you for having me.
Questions?
1 second, please.
Oh, question always make me so nervous.
Can you cite the, no, just kidding. When you, I'm just going to sit, on the Textio slide, the data that you showed about what its impact was, how did you actually go about measuring the impact of utilizing Textio, and how did you get to those numbers?
Yes. We get those numbers out of our ATS tracking system with reports that we can generate out of the system. And we can distinguish, so the recruiter, if he or she uses Textio, the systems know. So the system can divide between job ads that has used Textio and job ads that haven't used Textio. It's hard to measure because Textio is not all the languages, and there's always reasons why someone can't use it. But for the countries where we have Textio rolled out, we can make this distinction between reworked or not reworked.
Did you do any A/B testing, where you take the same job and posting, but use Textio for one and not for the other?
Good question. I would think so, that we did it before rolling it out, but I wouldn't have those data by hand. But I hope so.
Great presentation. Thank you. I was curious, along that employee experience lifecycle that you had, that one slide, are you all measuring the success or the outcomes associated with that employee experience and the touch points within that life cycle in any way. So, I mean, in order to determine where things are working well and where things are not working well. Thank you.
Yeah, so 2 answers to this. The first is we have this listening landscape in place where we have surveys and measure across all of those points. Here, the question always is, what really can you make out of that data? Because usually it's global KPIs, you can drill it down to countries, and it's sometimes it correlates to something, but it's not the it's no causality. That's why we approach this in a kind of wave approach to say, okay, now we pick some of them and really go into depth and outmap the touch points within a moment, and then do with focus groups, or I think for many we did it even globally, to understand into more depth not only how they perceive the moment, but how they perceive the touch points. And this is then really extensive. That's like 20 questions. How was the tool interaction on this? How was the manager? How was the interaction with peers? Because sometimes it's also peer interaction that drives the satisfaction or engagement. And then we kind of prioritize, is this a touch point or a moment that we need to take action and redesign it? And then we measure it again on that same detail level, but then we go back to the surveys on the moment level. Because it's also here, happy to exchange. I think it's hard to find the right amount of surveys you can push to the employees or the candidates, the right timing, that you really get significant insights out of those.
So one quick question. In one of the examples you showed where you've got artificial intelligence that's helping match your candidates to job openings, do you work with the recruiters to make sure that they build in all of the different competencies they're looking for? So for example, if you've got maybe somebody who does communications, but they've actually got IT in their background, that they can also get captured towards open IT positions, as an example?
Good question. So the recruiters don't actively do that. The recruiters, they calibrate their job posts that it's best as possible to get those matching things. What, on the other hand, this use case has the other perspective as well. So now I talked about the experience from the talent side. The recruiter, if he or she has an open position, this matching is done from the other direction. So from all currently available applicants, and in the future also internal people, they can see who would be the most promising and the most promising on top of the queue. So there those people would show up. But I'm not 100% sure if we do this systematically. That's a good point. Thanks for asking that question. I mean, where we are on the functional side, it's different. Where we see the biggest benefit is really across business, because businesses, they are all special, so, and they all need the brightest and best talents, and also from the employer branding part, and also now with the matching and the career side, can we have our own so that people who join our career side don't see the other businesses' opportunities? And no, that's in the nature of the thing. Talents want talent centricity. No? So this happens. That's someone who applies for a job in digital industry suddenly sees something in smart infrastructure. So I guess it would also work if it's different competencies from different functional areas, I guess.
There are some couple of questions more. I have one as well. You are here for the next 2 days, right?
That's the plan.
So I would say please get in contact directly for the questions and discussions. We have the dinner in the evening. We do need a short break. I already added 5 minutes, so we are continuing 10:45. Michelle, you can also.
Cool.
Need a
Thank you
break.
so
No,
much.
I did it. Thank you, Michelle.